Mary and George start their Viking cruise in Amsterdam, checking in at the Pastana Amsterdam Riverside Hotel. The cruise would include 3 days in Amsterdam, then boarding Viking Rolf for a voyage down the scenic Wal, Merwede, and eventually the Rhine rivers. Along the way, there would be cities, Kinderjik, Netherlands, Cologne, Koblenz, Rudesheim, Speyer, Breisach in Germany, Strasbourg, France, and docking in Basel, Switzerland for a trip over the Swiss Alps to check into the splendid hotel along Lake Maggiore, Italy for the final 3-day. They would fly home to Denver from Milan, Italy, via Frankfurt, Germany, and Montreal, Canada. Upon arrival, the luggage was collected by the Viking representatives and transported to our hotel. Since landing at around 7 in the morning, they had all day to explore Amsterdam, which they spent at the Rijksmuseum. The next day was filled with exploring Amsterdam by foot with the Viking guide, moving through the charming streets and admiring the countless gabled houses. The city's old tax codes shaped the quaint homes into what they saw today, as the builders were taxed based on the frontage of their dwelling. They followed the tranquil canals, where cafes and shops greeted them. The 60 miles of canals keep the waters of the North Sea at bay, with a series of sluices at the city's perimeter. The network of canals forms a horseshoe shape, with Central Station at the center of the mouth. The guide gave tips on staying oriented in Amsterdam and walking in harmony among the many bicyclists. Look left, then right, and run for your life when crossing a bike lane. Today, Mary and George will visit Kinderdijk, the largest concentration of windmills in the Netherlands. Viewing the picturesque Dutch countryside and learning the technological marvels of historic Kinderdijk. George will walk with a guide into the serene polderlands of South Holland while Mary cruises in a restored riverboat. George will cross the dike to the windmills and notice that they in fact are at a lower elevation than the ship. Much of this part of the Netherlands is below sea level. Built in the mid-18th century, these 19 windmills, the largest concentration in the Netherlands, stand like sentinels on a hushed landscape. Today, we find George and Mary in Cologne, Germany, a historic city crowned by Northern Europe's largest cathedral, Cologne Dom Cathedral. The burial grounds for the Magi's, or 3 wise men, found in the Bible. Mary and George will learn about Cologne's heritage and view its iconic cathedral towering over the city in all its Gothic splendor. They will step into the city's rich past, following its preserved ancient streets, and hear about its Roman and medieval history. Their guide would tell stories of folklore handed down through the centuries. In Old Cologne, they passed the elegant St. Martin's Church, only to be inspired by the magnificent Gothic Cologne Dom Cathedral, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Construction of the towering structure began in 1248 and continued in stages for the next 7 centuries. George and Mary viewed the cathedral's towering spires and beautiful stained glass windows. The Allied bombers used the cathedral as a beacon, avoiding destruction during World War II. Day 6 of George and Mary's Viking River cruise takes them to the most concentrated area of castles along the upper Middle Rhine Valley, a 65-kilometer stretch in Germany between Koblenz and Bingen-Rudesheim. This region is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 40 castles, fortresses, and ruins, making it the location with the highest density of castles in the world. The centuries-old vineyards are just as impressive, cultivated on near vertical slopes, producing perfect, delicious Riesling wines. George and Mary explore Speyer, Germany's profound history and magnificent architecture. Speyer is home to the largest of the 3 Romanesque imperial cathedrals. It is believed that the Protestants earned their name here in 1529 after citizens and royalty drafted the Protestation at Speyer, proclaiming their right to practice Christianity as they pleased. In 1689, Louis XIV's troops plundered Speyer and left it in ruins. Over the decades, it was artfully rebuilt. Another UNESCO World Heritage Site, the red-stoned Speyer Cathedral, is a sight to behold. Speyer was founded by the Romans, with 8 emperors entombed here, including some of the most notable Holy Roman emperors. After passing the Jewish courtyard, once home to one of the most important medieval synagogues, and Speyer's Alt Portal, or Old Gate, the last remains of the town's fortifications come into view, followed by a fun stroll of the city's charming shop-lined main thoroughfare. Today, Germany meets France, where we land in Kehl, Germany, and visit Strasbourg, France. Delightful cities steeped in equal parts French and German culture. They will explore the home of institutions like the European Union and the Council of Europe, pass remarkable Renaissance architecture en route to city center for a walk through picturesque Petite France, the former Tanner's district surrounded by the Ill River and Cathedral Square, in view of the magnificent Strasbourg Cathedral. One of Europe's finest Gothic cathedrals, it was the world's tallest building from 1647 to 1874. George and Mary arrive in Breisach, Germany, about an hour from their final boat destination in Basel, Switzerland. Here they will separate, George to the war memorials, and Mary to discover a medieval village. Both will converge in the German city of Colmar and continue together for a magical trip into the Black Forest. Upon returning to the ship, they will travel overnight to Basel. They disembark from the ship early the next morning and travel by bus over the Swiss Alps to Boveno, Italy, for their final few days of their Viking adventure. Today, George and Mary travel over the Swiss Alps from Basel, Switzerland to Boveno, Italy. A bus will take them through quaint villages, stopping at a Gotthard Raststätte Fahrt Richtung Süd rest area southbound direction in Schattdorf, Switzerland for a quick break. Then continuing our 5-hour, 307-kilometer journey through the Alps. They would take the Gotthard Pass instead of the tunnel and stop once more at Gotthard Matelli in Hospital, Switzerland, grabbing refreshments, peeking at the mineral collection, and enjoy the amazing views of the beautiful Swiss Alps. Then continue to Boveno for a quick bite before going to the splendid hotel along Lake Maggiore. George and Mary discover quaint villages, gardens, and ornate villas along Lake Maggiore and explore the Borromean Islands, owned by the Borromeo family for centuries. They arrive at Isola Madre, where they step inside the Palazzo Borromeo and stroll its botanical garden, brimming with rare plants from across the world. Walking the grand halls of the Baroque-style summer palace, they view the exquisite collections of paintings, armor, and silk tapestries. Taking a stroll around the beautiful gardens to see the Teatro Massimo, its statues, obelisks, and fountains providing the perfect backdrop to this garden oasis. After free time for lunch on Isola dei Pescatori, they return to the hotel for an afternoon of leisure and prepare for a night out. On the final day of this wonderful European vacation, they stroll a medieval town and visit a picturesque island with a journey to a lesser-known gem of the Italian rakes, Orta San Giulio. Embarking on a scenic drive to Orta, they pass quaint villages and picturesque towns. Upon arrival at the pier, they board a boat to Isola San Giulio. Famed for its 12th century Basilica di San Giulio, its beautiful Romanesque facade can be viewed during the approach. Climbing the steps from the pier, they step inside the basilica to admire the ornate interior, including the medieval pulpit and fresco paintings, completed between the 14th and 16th centuries. Upon returning to shore, they take a stroll around the city of Orta and enjoy free time to browse the boutique shops and art galleries or watch the world go by over lunch with, of course, some gelato. George would be able to walk up the hill to a pilgrimage place called Santuario del Sacro Monte di Orta.
The cruise is over, but the memories remain. From the individual excursions to just relaxing on deck and meeting new friends, every moment was incredible. It is so refreshing and such a gratifying experience. All we can say is Viking went above and beyond to make sure we had a blast. Hopefully we won't wait too long before we plan our next adventure.